Coming up, farewell to the Queen.
Did you come here to pay your respects?
Yes, I did, because it's sad and Queen Elizabeth was a good queen.
Tributes continue to pour in for Britain's Queen Elizabeth as the world pays their respect after her passing. This as the United Kingdom crowns a new king, her son, Charles.
We just saw the king! He waved at us! How did it feel to see the new king? Once in a lifetime.
Our twin correspondents are on the ground in London with all the details on kings and queens. Plus, backpack do's and don'ts. Dr. John will be here with tips for how to properly pack and wear your backpack before you head out the door. Also, we'll introduce you to this little girl. She's all grown up now and is sharing an important part of American history in a new book just for kids. And you'll meet this boy from Kentucky who got creative and started his own business in the hope of inspiring others.
I wanted to make some money because I have autism and I wanted to do this so I can inspire other people who have autism.
This is NBC Nightly News, Kids Edition.
Welcome back to Nightly News Kids Edition. I'm always glad you guys can join me. We've got a lot to share ahead, including our picture of the week. Plus, we'll answer your latest questions. But first, let's begin with a story that has dominated the headlines, and that's the passing of Britain's Queen Elizabeth and the solemn observances of her life and death. Did you know Queen Elizabeth served as Queen of the United Kingdom for 70 years? She died last week at the age of 96. Her funeral will take place Monday in London, and now her son Charles has been crowned king. We've got a pair of Kids Edition correspondents on the ground in London covering this story just for us.
Our names are Ariana and Ilya. We are 10 years old and have lived in London all our lives, but we have never seen anything like this before. But sadly for us, the time has come for you, dear Queen, to rest in peace.
You have to curtsy to us.
Yes, thank you. Did you come here to pay your respects?
Yes, I did, because it's sad and Queen Elizabeth was a good queen.
When Queen Elizabeth died after 70 years on the throne, many people were very sad. Others wanted to celebrate how great her life was. Lots and lots of people have been bringing flowers to Buckingham Palace, where she lived. How did you feel on the day that you found out Queen Elizabeth had died?
So I was in the middle of football training while she died, and then we got into the car and we heard on the news that she died, and I was sad.
Isn't this such an emotional day for your family, hearing that the Queen died?
We were all sad, but she was 70 years on the throne is a long time, the longest, and it was very good.
British kings and queens are a bit like the US president. For centuries, the king or queen was fully in charge. But as time went on, people were given a choice on who makes the laws of the land, and the royal family became more ceremonial. All the laws are written by elected government officials, voted for by everybody. But many people think kings and queens are important leaders, especially when times are difficult. Queen Elizabeth lived a long time, 96 years, from the Second World War to the coronavirus. She could also, though, be good fun. This year, to celebrate her 70 years as Queen, there was lots of parties and pageantry, which is things like marching bands and military flyovers. What were some moments you loved about Queen Elizabeth II?
She said the same day as my birthday.
The flyover was quite cool.
I like the flyover as well.
Tea?
Speaking of fun, Queen Elizabeth even pretended to have marmalade sandwiches with Paddington Bear. So in honour of the Queen, some people are leaving Paddington Bear tributes near her residences as a way to pay their respects. What was one of your most memorable moments from Queen Elizabeth?
When she was eating sandwiches with Paddington.
Did you know when Queen Elizabeth died, her son Charles became king straight away? Why have you come here today?
We've come here to pay respects to the Queen because we absolutely love her, and also to give our support to King Charles.
But not everyone loves kings and queens. Remember, America became a republic because it didn't want to be ruled by a British king or queen anymore. So far, a lot of British people think King Charles is doing a good job. And while we were filming, the new king drove by. It was a bit like the olden days when kings and queens went around waving from golden carriages. We just saw the king! He waved at us! It was really, really exciting because I've never seen a member of the royal family before. He was doing the royal wave. Did you get to see the king?
How did it feel to see the new king come to...
Once in a lifetime, I've never seen a royal family member anywhere.
Journalists and broadcasters from around the world are here to report on the death of the Queen, like NBC's Katie Turner.
So, how did you feel when you had to announce that the Queen has died, but did it make you want to cry inside, but you couldn't?
I was very sad because she's been here for so long, and even though I'm not a British citizen, I did live here for a little while, and so many people thought of her like her grandmother. I just couldn't imagine a world where we didn't have a Queen Elizabeth. It's a scary change.
When you were announcing it, did it almost make you cry on live TV?
Oh, that's a hard question. I kept it inside and I tried not to so that I could remain professional.
How do you think King Charles is going to do as the new king?
Oh, that's the big question. How do you think he's gonna do?
I don't know, but it really depends what he says.
I thought that he had a very nice speech to the public where he looked very sad for his mother dying. And we'll see what happens next.
Her granddaughter was meeting one of her heroes.
It was a day I will never forget.
Whatever you think of kings and queens, Queen Elizabeth, love and gratitude. A woman who was a symbol of her country for 70 years is a big deal. You're dutiful and decided to the end of your wonderful life. Thank you for your kindness, love, and inspiration. And we got to watch history happening.
Thank you for being our queen. You'll be forever missed.
What was your favorite part of today?
Everything.
Everything.
Thanks for watching. Back to you from London.
Girls, that was terrific. Great reporting on the ground. So glad you're there for us. Well, back at home, kids are back to school, and that means stuffing those notebooks, pencils, and markers and homework assignments into their backpacks as they head out the door. But sometimes those bags can get a bit heavy. So here with a few backpack tips is our good friend, Dr. John Torres. Dr. John, I don't go to school anymore, but I do travel a lot, and I have that backpack, and it breaks my back sometimes.
And then sometimes they can get very, very heavy. And the problem is if you have a heavy backpack that's not fitting well and you don't wear it well, you can cause pain to your neck, your shoulders, your back, and that pain can go on. And over the years it can accumulate. So, especially for kids, you want to be very careful. You want to make sure that you wear it appropriately, it weighs appropriately, even pack it appropriately.
So the weight is the big thing. Where do you start to organize?
Yeah, so the weight's the hugest thing. And the main thing you want to realize is, number one, with the weight, you want to make sure that it's only 15% of your total body weight. So you can imagine if you weigh 100 pounds, that means the bag should not weigh more than 15 pounds. I know a lot of them weigh a whole lot more than that.
Yeah.
On top of that, the size is important too. A high schooler is going to have a bigger backpack, like you would have a bigger backpack than an elementary school kid would have one. So you want to size it appropriately. So, make sure you're buying the one that's right for their age. And then on top of that, you want to make sure that you take care of the backpack itself. Clean it out once a week to get all that stuff in there that just accumulates over time. And that way you're not carrying things you don't need. You don't need to put everything in your backpack. That's why you have a locker. Use the locker. Only put the things you need in your backpack to go back and forth from home and back to school.
Nothing like discovering that banana you put back there a week ago. So tell me, what are some of the best things to do in terms of organization?
So one of the best things you want to make sure you do, again, you want to make sure it fits appropriately, that you have a backpack that works for you. And then when you do go ahead and put it in there, one of the things you want to do is you want to make sure you put the big heavy stuff at the bottom and towards the back. That way it's up against your back.
Right.
And then you want to make sure that you use the compartments what they're used for. So if you have a compartment that has water, put the water bottle in there. If you have a compartment for pens and pencils, like we have up front here, go ahead and put them in there. That distributes the weight evenly, and you can make sure it's okay.
And by the way, make sure you put the cap on the bottle.
Exactly.
I've made that mistake only to have soggy things. This is really a health concern, too, because nothing like knocking your back out of whack.
Exactly, that's right. You could hurt your back, your neck, your shoulders, and that pain can go on. And if you talk to your parents, they probably complain about back pain. That could have started when they were kids, and so you want to be careful. But that also means wearing it appropriately. And so number one, we do this all the time. Everybody does this. You do the one strap thing because it's convenient. You think it looks cool, all that stuff. You want to make sure you put both straps on your back, and you also want to make sure that when you do put both straps on, that you get it on there and you get it up against your back and towards the high end of your back. So you want to get these straps and adjust them down so they work appropriately, and you're not dragging it way down here.
Now, some of them have a strap that comes across here, your chest. Should you wear that as well?
And that helps keep it cinched against your back. So go ahead and wear that if you think you need to. But again, main thing is wear both straps, middle of your back. Make sure it's not hanging too low. If you're leaning forward with the pack, and you see kids do this all the time, they're leaning forward, it's too heavy. They need to go ahead and cut some of that weight out.
All right, really good information, Dr. John. Always wonderful to have you here.
You bet.
All right, back over on the other side of our studio now. Time for What's on Your Mind. We received a bunch of new questions recently from our viewers, including this one.
My name is Marlo. It's my first day of school. I love Nightly News Kids Edition. And where was the first school founded?
Well, Marlo, that's a good and interesting question. According to our research, the first public school in what would eventually become the United States was the Boston Latin School. The school opened back in 1635 in Boston, Massachusetts, and remains America's oldest public school. And it's still in operation today. Well, speaking of school, there's a new book out for kids detailing a part of American history involving education and race. I had a chance to speak with the author, Ruby Bridges, about her new project and how she became a civil rights pioneer at a very young age. And kids, you may want to grab a parent or grown-up to watch along with you in case you have questions. This is Ruby Bridges, and this is Ruby Bridges, the character in a real-life story about her historic first day at a new school when she was just 6 years old. The grown-up Ruby describes it like this.
I think what kids will resonate with is someone not wanting to play with them at 6 years old, not giving you a chance to be friends with you.
But it was much more than that. Ruby had to be escorted to school by U.S. Marshals past angry crowds of white parents, upset because they didn't want their children to go to school with a black child. As the young Ruby says in the book, they said I'm the first what, I thought. I didn't find out what being the first really meant until I arrived at this new school.
I remember thinking that it was Mardi Gras because no one bothered to explain to me what was really happening.
When you stepped out of the car?
When I stepped out of the car.
Crowd of people.
Crowd of people screaming, yelling, waving their hands, throwing things. That happens at Mardi Gras for me every year because I live in New Orleans.
You didn't get that the crowd was angry with you and angry at the situation?
I never understood that. I often say that what really protected me was the innocence of a child. In
your mind, you were special?
I did think that.
What Ruby didn't know was that 6 years earlier, 1954, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that racial segregation in schools was unconstitutional, meaning requiring black and white children to attend separate schools was no longer allowed. The court believed all kids should be given equal opportunities in education. But there was resistance in some southern states, including where Ruby lived. In 1960, a federal court had to order Louisiana to open its schools to all, even sending those marshals to help get Ruby safely to class.
And once I went up those stairs, the schools became integrated. But for me, when I went into the building, all of the white parents rushed in behind me and took their kids out of every classroom. So over 500 kids left school that day because I entered the building, and they never came back.
Ruby felt alone. Why am I the only kid in my class, young Ruby says in the book, not to mention the only kid in the whole school. And why don't I see anyone who looks like me? A lot has changed in our schools and in our society for the better since 1960. But the grown-up Ruby says there are still important messages.
I think kids today, when they read my story, they connect with it. They put themselves in the shoes of the 6-year-old. They understand the loneliness. Unfortunately today, we are still plagued with bullying in schools, and lots of kids resonate with my story.
Ruby Bridges' bravery is honored in a very famous painting by artist Norman Rockwell. It shows Ruby being walked into school by those marshals, her head held high. It's a story Ruby wants kids to know. Do you think this will make some kids uncomfortable?
It might, but I'm the kind of parent, I feel like it's important to share our stories, expose them to our history, good, bad, or ugly. We have come a very long ways, and I think we should honor that. But we also need to explain to our kids, before someone else does, our history, no matter how dark it is.
Okay, let's switch gears now and get to our picture of the week. The Maryland Zoo just welcomed the birth of 2 Sitatunga calves. Zoo officials say for now the calves will stay behind the scenes with their mothers. The new calves join a herd of 10 animals. The Sitatunga is a species of antelope native to Central America. Finally, in our Inspiring Kids series, a boy from Kentucky has found the secret to success, thanks in part to his imagination and his wish to inspire others. Our friend Kristen Dahlgren has details.
Big Ben was the inspiration for this bad boy.
11-year-old J.W. Hardin loves to be creative.
Statue of Liberty on one side, and
it's his imagination that helped him pursue a dream.
ta-da!
He decided he wanted to get us an early anniversary present. And that's why he told us he wanted to start this business.
This one was inspired by the Master Emerald from the movie Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I wanted to make some money because I have autism, and I wanted to do this so I can inspire other people who have autism to start their own business.
JW was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder when he was 4. Autism spectrum disorder affects how people interact with others, like how they learn and communicate.
His independence is coming through, and that's what we've been working for the past 7 years.
With the help of his family, JW started Jockeys by JW, a business inspired by his grandpa's woodwork.
He takes wood and cuts out the ornaments and door hangers, and then he gives them to us. Ta-da!
This business has just shown what good there is in the world. I mean, we've had people from all across the country find out about JW's business, and they've reached out and said, I have a 5-year-old at home who just got diagnosed with autism, and seeing JW's story is giving us hope.
This is a Hawaii ornament I made for my Christmas tree. 266 ornaments and 29 door hangers.
The door hangers and Christmas ornaments showcase JW's creativity, while also helping educate kids and grown-ups about autism.
To see that these kiddos who have known JW since kindergarten, and now they're in 6th grade together, to support him and love him for who he is, has just absolutely warmed my heart. So I hope that our journey can help other families with autism spectrum disorder or another special need. I hope that we can inspire them to keep hope, because it's a really fun journey.
The secret to success, through the eyes of this boy from Kentucky.
I want them to know that jockey silks are fun, and I want them to know that using their imaginations is always fun for starting businesses.
Kristen, thanks so much. Well, that's going to do it for us. Parents, just a reminder, if your child has a question about any topic in the news, feel free to email a video to us at nightlykids@nbcuni.com, and we'll try to answer them in an upcoming episode. You can also follow us on Instagram @nightlykids. Thanks for watching, everybody, and remember, take care of yourself and each other. So long.